Hi guys, it's Miss Hanrahan. Welcome back to the Flipped Classroom. Today we're going to be talking about the area of squares and rectangles. Now, as a little bit of a reminder, yesterday we talked about perimeter. Inside of the word perimeter, there's the smaller word rim, which is something that actually goes around an object. It's a really helpful reminder of what perimeter is, the distance around a figure. Today, we're going to be talking about area. So we're using the same rectangle, only instead of measuring around the rectangle, we're actually going to be measuring the stuff that is inside of the rectangle. Area is the amount of space an object takes up on a surface. Now, if you're measuring a rectangle or a square, you can use a formula. A equals L times W, or area equals length times width. So this is the same rectangle you saw yesterday in the video. The length is 11 centimeters, the width is 5 centimeters. Only instead of finding the perimeter around the rectangle, we're going to use that formula above to find the area. So if we plug in our numbers, 11, the length, times 5, the width, we end up with a final area of 55 centimeters. You can do the same thing with a square. You know it's a square because all of the lengths are exactly the same size. Now, if you take 7 meters times 7 meters, the length times the width, you end up with a final area of 49 meters. All right, it's back, guys. The shape that is not a perfect rectangle, it's not a perfect square, but you can still find the area. To do so, you need to divide and conquer. So you need to separate this shape into rectangles and squares to find the area of each of those. Then you'll add them together to find the final area. So let's go ahead and get started. On that far left side over here, we have this little appendage sticking out. So we're going to separate that one because it's a really natural dividing point for a rectangle. Now, we have a new rectangle. We have a length of 1, a width of 2. You multiply 1 times 2, you end up with an area of 2. So let's continue to separate this shape. Here we have a length of 3. Our width is 4 plus 2. Altogether, this is 6. So 6 times 3 is 18. Now, can you figure out where I'm going to separate the next rectangles? Right there. All right, so we have a length of 11. We have a width of 1. 11 times 1 gives us an area of 11 for this long rectangle. And on the bottom, we have a length of 1 times a width of 1. We have an area of 1. Now you're almost done. Not yet, but we're almost there. We so far have 1, 2, 3, 4 different areas. We need to find the area for this whole thing. To do that, you're going to add 2 plus 18 plus 11 plus 1. Your final area should be 32. All right, now here's another example. It really doesn't matter if you start separating your rectangles on the left side or on the right side. In fact, it doesn't matter where you put your rectangles at all. What does matter is that you're using rectangles or squares, and you have to use all of the space. Make sure when you're using your rectangles and squares, you can find the length and width. If you can't find the length and width, you might want to reconsider where you're going to separate your shape. I'm going to start on the left side within this yellow rectangle here. All right, so we have a length of 3. We have a width of 2. 3 times 2 is 6. Now my next rectangle is a very long one. This length from here to here is 6, but you need to keep in mind this little space on the left. That's actually a length of 1. So altogether, this is a length of 7. 7 times the width. Now, altogether, this is 2. If this one's 1, this has to be 1. So we have 7 times 1 for an area of 7. Let's measure this bottom one right here. We have a length of 1. We have a width of 1. Excuse me, width of 2. 1 times 2 is 2. And at the top, we have a length of 4, a width of 1. 4 times 1 is 4. Add it all up. Your final area is 19. Now, I want you to keep that in mind. We're going to look at this exact same shape, but I'm going to separate it in a different way. Remember, our area was 19. Okay, so this is this exact same shape, exact same lengths as before. This time, I'm going to make a much larger rectangle. So last time, my rectangle stopped here. This time, it's a little bit bigger. Now, when I look at the length, this is 3 plus 1. So I have a length of 4 times my width, which is 2. 4 times 2 is 8. Let's look at this little space at the bottom. We have 1 times 1 for an area of 1. Our space in the middle, we know that all the way across is 6. However, this piece right here has a length of 4, which means if this is 6 and this part is 4, this little piece has to be 2. Again, we know that this is a width of 2. This takes up 1, so this must be 1. So we have 2 times 1 for an area of 2. And our last rectangle has a length of 4, you can see that at the top, times a width of 2 for an area of 8. Add up these numbers and you still have an area of 19. So again, it doesn't matter where you separate your rectangles or how you do it, as long as you can find the length and the width. And that's it for this video. Make sure you whisk if you've made it this far. Hopefully you've watched all the video. If you need to go back and take better notes or add in extra examples, please feel free to do so. Make sure you ask a question. If there's still something you don't understand, write it down and be specific so I can help you in class tomorrow. If you don't have any questions, write down a problem for us to solve in the classroom based on what you just learned, and make sure you have the answer ready. I will see you guys tomorrow.